Welcome to the Dragon's Library, your source for games, movies, shows, and more. Well, hello everybody. So we're back. And you might remember how last episode I was talking about how I just got Resident Evil 7, and I was hopefully going to be reviewing that maybe before I reviewed Resident Evil 8, because I wanted to play that one so I could get the context for 8, because apparently it follows the same character. Yeah, I may have kind of instantly binged the entire game over a weekend during some of my free time and stayed up way too late one night. So, yeah. That happened. So we're doing Resident Evil 7 now. I know, 2 video game episodes almost back to back. No make up for all the video game devoid time while I was trying to play The Witcher. That was something I could actually do, and also review System Shock 2. Yeah. So Resident Evil 7. It's a good game. Everybody already knows that, though, because it came out, 2019. So, my experience with the Resident Evil series is a little weird. I didn't play, the old Resident Evil 1 or 2 or anything like that, even though the remastered Resident Evil 1 came out on the GameCube, and I was, a big GameCube player back in the day. I played Resident Evil 4 when I was in high school, and then again when I was in college, and yeah, it deserves to be called one of the best games ever. Resident Evil 7 leans more to the survival than the action that Resident Evil 4 did. It leans more to its survival horror roots. Really scarce resources for most of the game, constant threats, that kind of thing. It's a fun game, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't have gotten, all that attention if it wasn't. I definitely think some of the parts of it are going to be more annoying than fun on a replay. A lot of the horror set pieces you had to push through got really annoying whenever I had to redo them. Once or twice I had to redo them. And some of the parts where you could actually die in them were just kind of boring because you had to do the very specific thing, otherwise you lost. One or two of the boss fights were just kind of okay. The last boss fight was a little underwhelming, honestly. But, I mean, all in all, the game was pretty consistently scary, and I really liked it. Mechanics are good. It's basically Resident Evil 4 with a first-person camera, to be honest. So, nothing much has really changed when it comes to the gameplay with this. I think the inventory is a lot more limited than Resident Evil 4. So, it actually made me have to decide whether or not to keep things a lot more often. Which was nice. I oftentimes felt like when I was running out of resources a lot, but that's because, you can't carry that much. And the checkpoints are very, very nicely laid out, I think, especially in the house. You always have to go through some danger to get back to them, I feel. Usually, usually it's the hillbilly dad, patrolling through the house, trying to murder you. He's always a bit of a threat because you don't want to waste ammo on him, but at the same time, if you want to actually explore some areas of the house and do some stuff, you kind of need to deal with him. So you either have to sneak around him the whole time, which wastes a lot of time that I didn't have, or you have to waste ammo. And since you only carry so much on you when you're going through some of the longer stretches without a save point or a place to restock, you end up running out of stuff pretty quickly. So most of the points in the game, even when I had a lot of trigger bombs near the end, I still felt like I was eating through resources. And having to be very cautious and, poke through, it's survival horror. They do survival horror very well in this game. All in all, yeah. Gameplay's really good. I would really recommend it. So, yeah, that's basically it. Before I get to, talking about the story, the basic premise of Resident Evil 7 is you're Ethan Winters. I don't really know who you are particularly. I think you might be a reporter, maybe. But you get email of a video from your fiance or ex-girlfriend, Mia. She's saying, Ethan, if you get this, please, just stay away. Stay away. And of course, you, like a freaking idiot, are she looks like she's in a tank top somewhere really dark and scary, and she looks like she's in danger. I should probably go help her. And instead of, calling the cops and telling her, hey, I got this message from my girlfriend, you do what all Resident Evil protagonists do when something goes wrong. They don't call the authorities. They go to the place themselves so the spooky stuff can happen to them. Because I do know the plots of Resident Evil, because I watched all the movies and I have, looked up what happened in the other games, because they're fairly well-known games. And isn't this the same dumb thing that happened in Resident Evil 2 with Claire? Because she was like, I want to go check on my brother. It's have you tried calling your brother or like, letting the police know you haven't heard from him forever and trying to, get the authorities on. It's like, no, I'm just gonna go to his house. He's been like completely radio silent and I haven't been able to get in contact with him, but I should just go there instead. It's like, you phone him. And if you can't get in contact with him, call someone in the area and say, hey, my brother's been missing. I can't go there. Don't just like drive into this city that's now a zombie plague. But Ethan Winters is the Resident Evil protagonist, so shit's gonna happen. He goes out to this spooky Louisiana cabin in the woods. Also, I'm a little weirded out by this because, like, how to put this? So, I live in Louisiana. Baton Rouge, actually, for those of you who don't know. And it's always really weird whenever I see something set in Louisiana because there are basically two options for Louisiana, in my opinion, in media. You're either in New Orleans, which is basically, for those of you who don't know, is basically its own sectioned off part of our state, honestly. New Orleans is its own completely different thing. It's the only part of this place that's like a major city or anything like that. Baton Rouge and Lafayette are two of the bigger cities in addition to New Orleans, and both of them are pretty small by city standards. So, you either have New Orleans, which again, it's like the party capital, or you have this random shack in the swamp. Obviously, since it's a horror and or slasher thing, Resident Evil goes for the shack in the swamp. And I'm always a little weirded out by it, because, like, those people, like, really rural areas do happen. I just, like, have zero connection to them. Like, you never see anything set in Baton Rouge, you know what I mean? I don't know, I just really want something to be set in my city one time. Like, the place where I live. Like, I just would really like to see that one day. I don't know. I'm just being weird about this. It just always feels like, it's always the rural people in the It's like, fair. We have a lot of idiots in our state. A lot of morons. Gods, I hate living here so much sometimes. So, yeah. But it is always interesting to see somebody actually saying something in Louisiana, because we don't actually get a lot of people living here. Even the whole swamp things, a lot of times people just have it set in Florida. So, that's always interesting. It was a thing that personally related to me, and I just thought I'd mention it. So yeah, Ethan goes out to this really rural area of Louisiana swamp to go find the Baker household, and this is the place where her message apparently came from. So, he goes there. It's a spooky house. There's a lot of screaming and some supernatural stuff, hallucinations, things moving, lots of sound. And then he gets attacked by a psycho. Then he finds Mia. He gets attacked by a psycho family. The dad captures him and chains him up after he finds Mia locked in the basement. She goes psycho and cuts his hand off, and he's strapped to the table with the Baker family. You got the dad, who's like the crazy slasher. You got the son, who is like, apparently some kind of super genius. He sets off most electronical stuff and all the surveillance and crazy engineering things, but he's also super unhinged and kind of a psycho murderer. More of a Saw way than the dad's I'm gonna rip you apart with my Leatherface chainsaw kind of way. And then you have the mom who's like literally the insect queen and is always ranting about, he's not doing it the way I want, Pa! And it's like, okay. So they're super stereotypes, that's fine. That's fine. Resident Evil makes everyone a stereotype, that's a cool. And I do like how the son, despite being like this like huge, like, displayed as a redneck, is later revealed to be like this super genius who has all these like when you go into his room, it's just a really childish room, but when you look at the wall, it's like, oh shit, he was like 8 years old and he was getting like third place prizes in like actual engineering contests and stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So there's a bit of depth to these characters outside their thing. Their neuroses and psychosis brought on by this weird infectious fungus thing is enhancing parts of their personalities. I'm not sure if the son became more intelligent as a result of it. There's a little vague there. But I know, like, they all became super healing and stuff like that. It caused them to go crazy, and they've been killing people and sacrificing them, trying to make them one of the family and stuff like that. Infecting them with the mold. Some of them reject it and die, that kind of thing. So, you managed to escape. Also, Ethan, are you like a superhuman? Like, I'm serious. Are you playing a superhuman game? Because Ethan Winters takes an insane amount. I mean, seriously, alright, the game opens up with Ethan getting his hand chainsawed off and stabbed through multiple times, and then he just keeps taking punishment, and he just keeps moving through this game like a champ. I mean, seriously, minor spoilers for the ending, but you get, like, literally thrown out of a building, lifted up, thrown back down again, lifted up and thrown back down again, like 3 times, after an entire game of basically being stabbed through various body parts. And he is still moving around like a frickin' champ. And the entire time I'm like, Ethan, you should be dead, like, 50 times over. Like, this isn't even like, oh, it's a video game. It's like, but no. But he dies so easily during combat. But during cutscenes, he can just tank damage like it is nothing. So yeah. That's just one of the weird things about this whole issue. Not sure if Resident Evil 8 has some answers there, but I would not be surprised if he's been, like, genetically experimented on. That would, explain a lot. Also, be prepared to see his hand take a lot of damage because, that's where you'll see. But yeah. So that's the basic setup. You got, 3 crazy family members, a weird lady in a wheelchair who's, you can never aim any of your weapons at or attack when she's constantly just vanishing and appearing in different parts of the house and not saying a word and just, watching you. Your girlfriend doesn't know what's going on half the time. The other half the time is going crazy from the mold infection. You're being helped by the daughter of the family who's, who's doing the whole, hey, I haven't gone crazy with my family, but I can't leave because I'm infected. Help me make a cure. Me and Mia can get cured. You can get out of here. We can get out of here. And we can all leave. She helps you by calling you throughout the house. She has part of the cure. She gets captured. You have to go rescue her and get the other part of the cure. That kind of thing. Deal with the various family members, slowly open up the house. It does feel like a very interesting, interconnected house, and a lot of the goofy shadow puzzle things are really interesting. I actually really do like a lot of the puzzles. I think there are some interesting things. Like, they have this whole big thing where the door to get out is the 3 Cerberus heads, and kind of represents the 3, members of the family, the father, the mother, and the son. They're all parts of this larger monster, which actually has some, well, I'll save that for a spoiler section, but yeah. Each of the family members has their own, like, themes to their levels. The dad is stalking you throughout the house, the mom is insects everywhere, and the son is basically Saw. So, they all have their own, creepy horror themes to them. The mom's insect stuff is probably the most effective for me, because I've always just found the creepy crawly stuff really disgusting. The centipede area is probably the worst. Like, there's no actual harm to your character. You just have to crawl through this, small gap while centipedes are crawling all over you and stuff like that. But it just gave me chills. And the horror is really effective here. I do have to say, in the first blind playthrough in the dark, when I was playing it at night in the dark, top tier stuff. Very much appreciate it. Very good. So yeah, all in all, just really nice game, really solidly executed. The control scheme's very effective. I don't really have much more to say. It's just good. So at this point, I'm going to be getting into full spoilers. If you don't want to hear spoilers, you can, come back later once you play the game. I do highly recommend it. I think you should definitely play it. So yeah. Okay, spoilers begin here. Check out if you don't want to hear them. So, the whole thing is basically... Alright, first of all, the old woman in the wheelchair I called was the psychic scary girl that your girlfriend was Alright, so, your girlfriend was working for a company, one of the bio research companies that are just everywhere, that are trying to develop bioweapons, that are all throughout the Resident Evil series. Get ready for this. The Resident Evil world is full of dozens of corporations that all think that nuclear weapons are so passé and that we need to make biological weapons now. That's the new nuke. So, everybody's rushing to do that. Umbrella got taken down apparently in the past. I remember hearing about that. So now there's a new corporation. They made Evelyn, a young girl who has this super scary mold that can... Basically, the idea was a weapon that could be released into civilian areas, looks like a tiny girl, and would slowly take over enemy combatants, recruiting them as mindless slaves to your side. However, the slaves turned to be a bit unstable. Evelyn turned out to be a bit unstable, made mold monsters, which just aren't that scary, to be honest. And, so yeah, that's the big story. She was going to be transported to a new facility or something with Mia, who was acting as sort of a thing. That's why she disappeared 3 years ago. She started working for this evil corporation as a, monitor or a handler for Evelyn. and Evelyn always thought of her as a mother. Evelyn caused the ship they were on to crash in the Louisiana swamp. So after they got off the ship, they were found by the Baker family, who took them in. Mia was hurt at the time. They didn't realize, the whole deal with Evelyn. Evelyn took them over, and it's been slowly corrupting their minds. Actually, I did really like the scene where you have this brief, basically Ethan is briefly, consumed by the mold, but he isn't infected yet, but he, touches it and gets, sort of a psychic connection to all the people Evelyn's controlling. And you see the Baker dad, the dad, Mr. Baker, and he's like, whoa, son, calm down. He's still talking like you heard him, but he's not as insane or cruel. And he really is I know, I feel awful, but you need to destroy this. You need to destroy all of this. I am so sorry. I wasn't in control. And he comes off as an actually decent human being. So does the mom, too. But the twist is, they weren't all under control. It's revealed as you go deeper into, the underground lab, because every Resident Evil game has to have an underground lab. It's law. That the son actually contracted with the evil corporation, and they were using this new area as a new testing ground for Evelyn, once they found out where she was. They helped him free himself from her mind control before she fully took him over, without her knowing. So she still thinks she's in control of him. Meanwhile, he's been using his family members as puppets. So they all think that none of them wanted to do anything. And even in the dream, the dad's like, yeah, he's still being tormented too. My poor boy. Turns out his poor boy is in control of himself and has been a psycho Sommer the entire time. Whatever, he might have been, warped by Evelyn, but it's implied that he was kind of always a monster, just waiting to come out. Meanwhile, their sister is an actual good person who's been resisting this the whole time. The parents, just fell into the madness. And of course, Evelyn is actually the creepy old lady who's been following you around. I called that from the moment we started seeing the creepy old girl, and it's oh, so this is the creepy old lady too, isn't it? Yeah, I called that from a mile away. The second they started talking about the girl, I was like, let's see here. Spooky girl, spooky old lady, put 2 and 2 together, get 4. Not that hard, really. If you're surprised by that twist, I don't know what to say. You probably haven't seen enough horror movies and or science fiction stories in general. But, it was pretty obvious to me. Don't know what to say to that. As for the game, the high point of the game is probably I'd should say it's probably the mom section. The insect area is just really difficult in general, and I found it the most compelling horror. It has a lot more set pieces, but it's also much better with set pieces and being more fully interactive without just one way. And you can actually do things when you get grabbed, Ethan will actually try and shoot the things that grab him, and I like those sections a bit more than just the whole you got grabbed, teleport to a new area because you black out. But that may just be personal preference. All in all, yeah. Pretty interesting story. Definitely Resident Evil. Has a lot more intense horror. It's a lot more Ethan and his personality and his relationship with Mia. They both come across as more fleshed out than other people. Mia is definitely not a good person, but at the same time, she did try and warn Ethan away, and it's I regret leaving and all that. And when he got her message, which was sent by Evelyn, maybe, or maybe it was the brother, she actually focuses on trying to say, Ethan, you shouldn't be here, you need to leave, you need to leave, you need to leave, don't worry about me, just go, go, go. And I actually have to give her points for that, because on a lot of these things, they'll be oh my god, Ethan, take me with you. It's you should save me, prioritize me, but it's her first thought when Ethan comes to get her is not, oh, thank goodness he's gonna save me, I do feel bad kind of about bringing me there, but at least I'm gonna be alright. It's, no, Ethan, I'm already dead, you need to get out of here. Which I didn't like. I like her personality. She's not a likable character, but she's a more complex and interesting one than a lot of characters get to be. Ethan kind of comes across as a bit of a blank slate, but he is kind of driven to figure out what happens, and I do like how when all the other characters are saying, no, it's not time for that, it's dude, we're running away from this monster. Can you just, talk to me while we're running away and tell me, hey, so there's a scary little psychic girl, don't let her infect you with this mold stuff. I was working for an evil corporation. It's he just wants answers, and every time somebody's talking to him, please, tell me what the hell's going on. And they're no time, you need to do this right now, and then they'll hang up, and I'll proceed to walk back and forth in the trailer and be I feel like there was time for them to explain what was going on, they just don't want to. And I can almost feel Ethan's contempt for them in that regard. Ugh. Because everyone around him kind of knows what's going on at this point, and they all refuse to frickin' tell him. Although Mia doesn't know what's going on because she has like plot convenient amnesia that gets undone during a cruise ship section where you get to play as her, which I actually think was interesting because Ethan gets kidnapped. It's like Mia has to take control. Also, you get a choice to save either Mia or Zoe. I had heard there was a bad ending if you chose Zoe, so I decided to just choose Mia because the good ending is usually like the canon ending, what's supposed to be for the game. So, I just did that one instead. I might go back and play the Zoe ending. I'll let you guys know how that goes if I play it for Resident Evil 8's review. But, yeah. So, anyway. The whole story is generally well put together. Near the end, we actually do get a cameo by a Resident Evil staple, Chris Redfield. He shows up in a helicopter, drops you down the mandatory final boss weapon, which in this time is like an anti-bioweapon pistol. Use it to kill Evelyn in like her giant monster form, which is really just not that hard of a fight. Like, she has like 2 attacks, and they're not really avoidable from what I could tell. You just have to fire all your weapons at her, and you're done. Honestly, the mold monsters getting up to there, like the constant waves of mold monsters, you head through the tunnels and try and carefully manage your resources, in what it was very telegraphed as you'll need them all for a big boss fight near the end, was actually way more difficult because I thought I needed way more firepower to take her down than I actually needed. And so I can focus on conserving ammo and trying to get them done with the least powerful weapons in my arsenal first so I could get the heavy hitters for her. I didn't even have the revolver because I didn't think to save up my lucky coins for that thing. I used it for the health and, accuracy boost things, where I probably wasted the accuracy boost one. But in all honesty, I think I missed a lot of weapons from what I can tell, and a lot of secrets, and I did not go to the boss fight that prepared. I had some limited ammo in my sprayer, my flamethrower that I didn't even use. I had the grenade launcher, which I only had like a few rounds for. I had the basic pistol, the shotgun, and the machine gun. And those were basically what I used for the entire final run up to the boss. I'm focused on using pistol ammo and shotgun rounds, saving my grenades for the very end. I used 2 of the grenades, the flame grenades, to finish off these big giant zombie bosses. And then I used trigger bombs and some clever pistol stuff to take out most of the other mold monsters. And then I just went to the final boss and just poured my machine gun, shotgun, and my few last grenade launcher rounds into her face. She threw me outside, I throw a few more rounds into her face. Then I get the special weapon, fire all those rounds, and she's dead. And it didn't really feel like I was ever in danger from her. Like, it didn't really feel like a boss fight as much as a set piece, which I was really disappointed with, because Resident Evil usually has really cool boss fights near the end, where you have to slowly use up all your ammo, taking him down to health, and then if you survive long enough, you get the rocket launcher, and you can do that. But there wasn't much surviving. It felt like a big cutscene where I had to keep switching between weapons to kill her, because she didn't do anything. She only hit me one time in an actual attack as part of, like, the first phase. Then the rest of it was all just a giant cutscene from what I could tell. So, like, very disappointing final boss fight. Actually, most of the boss fights in this game are kind of disappointing. You don't really get a boss fight with the son. The father's boss fight, you get a few boss fights with the father. The first one in the garage was pretty cool. Like, you kind of just get dropped in. It's like, here's your pistol, here's your knife. The police officer just tried to help you, just got killed. Okay, here's this, and go ahead. You're in a flaming room, and this guy's trying to murder you. Good luck. And it's like, okay, this was pretty cool. Very intense. You had to get in the car, find the car keys while you're doing it. Kind of a pseudo puzzle element to it. I liked that. Then you had the second fight with him with the chainsaw, which took me forever to get through because it was really dumb, and I couldn't figure out how to beat him with it. I actually took me a little while to figure out you're supposed to grab the chainsaw because I thought he was going to grab that, so I started running away when he went to go break up the cage open because I thought that's what he was going to grab. Instead, he grabs like the scissor chainsaw thing, and you were supposed to grab the other chainsaw while he was pulling out. It's like, yeah, I want to stand near the guy who has a scissor chainsaw while I was getting it ready. That's what. Instead, I was trying to use my weapons. He was blocking it all. And it's just really hard to use that melee weapon against him, and you kind of have to. So, didn't really like that. Wouldn't prefer that boss fight. The mom's boss fight, where you have the, where she has like the insects and she's coming at you from the different angles. Did enjoy that one. I was actually a little low on resources before I went into that boss fight, so I was actually had to use like a lot. I was kind of scraping through it, constantly having to find stuff in the area. It really did feel like a survival horror boss fight. Very much appreciate it. So, 2 out of the 4 boss fights, pretty good. I guess. I mean, it feels like most of the best qualities of this game are in the early half. the most of the ending is just kind of okay, except for the part with Mia. Ethan's final run to the boss is also nice, but it feels like this big chunk with the sun stuff, Saw stuff, and the stuff with Ethan before you get up to that final run to the boss, it just isn't that interesting. Seriously, and even most of Mia's stuff, once you get like halfway through it, is place trigger bomb down, wait for zombie, boom. Or make for molded, they're the molded creepy zombie things. Wait for it, click, boom, instant death. Oh wait, it's a big one. Lay down a second bomb, wait for it, boom, okay, now it's dead. It just wasn't that difficult near the end, which was a disappointment. Although I thought it was going to be more difficult than it is. Maybe I should play it on hard instead of normal, but I prefer to play games on normal difficulty because I think I get the intended experience. And the intended experience just didn't feel that challenging. So, but all in all, yeah, I liked it. Very good game, like I said earlier. The horror definitely has like a lot of flavors to it. You get the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You get the Saw vibe. You get the weird, creepy insect horror monster vibe. I'm not sure if there's a good movie reference for that. It probably is, and I'm probably just not thinking of it. The Fly. Yeah, it's kind of like The Fly. Oh, sort of. Like the mom is going through the Fly transformation, I guess. And yeah, the final cruise, I like the cruise ship flashbacks, setting up where all the stuff is so you get to figure it out. Like they have a few flashback moments, and you have to really pay attention in those moments because they'll give you a lot of information for the later levels, and if you're not paying attention there, you're going to be really confused. I liked them giving you information like that. I think it really depends on the player being perceptive in parts of the game where they tend to doze off of it. And that's basically it. I will highly recommend this game. I say it's a 9 out of 10 if you're into survival horror, if you really like tense games, if you're into horror of any kind. I think this goes to a wide range of spectrums, and the family is very interesting. There's actually a decent amount of symbolism in some of the puzzles, too. The biggest one for me was the 3 Cerberus-head dogs, which relate to the 3 heads of the household, the mom, the dad, and the brother, ruling over the sister and their captive Mia. But they're all just actually extensions of the main boss, final boss of the game, which is actually Evelyn, because she's the body. They're just the head she uses, the mouthpieces. I do wonder if there's some symbolism with one of the heads in the sun, but I'll have to look into that more. All in all, yeah, I like the game. It's very well made, has a lot of different references to different types of horror. It runs the gambit, so everybody's going to find something they're a little creeped out by. Again, it was this climbing through centipede wall thing for me, even though that wasn't actually dangerous for my character. It still freaked me out. And, yeah. All in all, I'd give it a 9 out of 10 if you're into this kind of stuff. And even not, it's still a really enjoyable gameplay experience. I'd still rate it as like an 8 or 7 out of 10 in just terms of pure gameplay. So, yeah. Alright, I guess I'll see you guys next time. We're not going to be doing Resident Evil 8 next time. I'm going to be busy, so I'm not going to finish that immediately. And we're going to have to do something else I've already done, so let's see here. So next time we're going to be watching Underwater, which was the movie I had spoiled for you that I was going to be reviewing the last episode, Rick and Morty, my Rick and Morty review. I decided not to review that today and instead do Resident Evil 7 so I could space out the video game reviews. So if you're wondering why that didn't come up, that's why. After that, I'll probably be doing Resident Evil 8, or actually, I might be reviewing, Deadly Education. That's gonna be coming out soon. I don't think I'll be, let's see here, because it's gonna be like a week from now. I might review Resident, let's see, let me look it up real quick. The Last Graduate. Never mind, that's gonna be coming out on the 28th, so I'll be doing something else. I'll be doing the Resident Evil 8 review, probably. Not after Underwater, but maybe like the review after that. I'll have to figure out something in between them. But until then, see you guys. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Bye. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode, and thank you for listening to the Dragon's Library. Please subscribe to this podcast to be notified of new episodes. The Dragon's Library releases new episodes Tuesday and Friday each week, and you can follow us on Twitter at dragon_library2. If you want to suggest an episode topic, my email is in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for all your support.